is your full name?
Richard Matthew Halprin.
Where are you from?
I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
And how old were you in 2009?
2009, I was 45.
Okay, so what do you recall about your financial life before the Great Recession?
Well, what the biggest issue prior to the recession was involving the property property values of the homes. So I had a home that was pretty expensive. We bought it while it was on its way up in price and expected to build a lot of equity in that house and use it as someday as a source of savings.
Had you experienced economic hardships prior to 2007? Or
Not really, no.
Okay. How did you discover that our nation was facing a severe economic situation?
Well, before the recession actually hit, there were a couple of things going on. One, that was the time of the dot-coms, where new companies were opening and going on the stock market at very high prices, and they didn't really provide a service that matched it, but people were speculating. And like I was saying about the real estate, the market kept going up and up. People that I knew that weren't making tons of money were buying very expensive houses. And I was wondering and would talk to my friends and say, how can this be happening? How can this many people be buying $500,000 houses on the incomes that they've got? Something bad is going to happen eventually.
What were your first feelings or emotions after learning about this severe economic situation?
Well, it was stunning, it was disappointing, and it was depressing because during that period of time, we had to sell the house that we were in, and the value of it dropped from what we paid for it. We sold it for about 60% of what we paid for it. So we lost a huge amount of money on the sale of the house. And it was money that there was equity that when we bought and sold other houses previously, we put all that cash into the house and lost a lot of money because of that.
What financial hardships did you experience during this economic situation?
A lot of it was emotional hardships because also what happened is I had been putting money, like many people, into the stock market and into retirement accounts. So you expect that things will, over the course of every year, you're going to get some sort of interest on it. And even if it fluctuates from a small amount to a large amount, or in the stock market, you expect it's going to go up some percentage every year. And to see something drop to 25, 30, 40% of its value is it's heartbreaking. You expect that money is going to be there, and you certainly don't expect it's going to go down that low. You might think it may not grow over the course of time the same rate every year, but to see it disappear is devastating.
What did you think of President Barack Obama's and the Congress's reaction to the Great Recession?
Well, they did some good things. There was an economic stimulus package that was helpful. They built some protections in for the mortgage and banking business. They didn't go far enough, and they didn't prosecute any of the people that caused the problem. They certainly didn't go off enough of them. There were some regulations that were put in place to help prevent something like that from happening again. But had they sent some people to prison that were responsible for it, that would have been a very strong message to not play around with real estate and the banking business. It would have been a lot smarter to be tougher, but government is almost always in bed with the banking industry anyway, so they weren't going to do anything. It's sort of like yelling at somebody but winking at them with your eye that you don't really mean it.
Yeah. How did you feel about financial bailout given to the automotive industry?
I was happy about it. There were many people who said that the government should stay out of it, that the free market should be let to do its thing, and that if companies can't survive, then then they don't deserve to exist. But it would have destroyed the economy in Michigan had they let that happen. It would have been bad for, of course, the companies themselves. It would have been bad for the employees because there's so many people that work for the industry, and then all of the other collateral businesses that rely on the auto industry, the part suppliers, even the people that feed the people that work at both the corporate level and the labor level. So it would have been devastating to the state of Michigan, and it was a good thing that they were able to fix it. And they were proven correct because all the measures that they took breathed new life into the auto industry and caused the auto industry to think about how they could be better, leaner, smarter, and they're very competitive worldwide now.
Do you think that recessions or depressions can be prevented? Why or why not?
Well, they can be managed. I don't think that they can be outright prevented. And part of the problem is that the banking industry is still run by people who are driven by profit only. They're not driven by making good, sound decisions from a policy level. People want to maximize their short-term interests in their own jobs so they can move up within their company. And when you're at the highest level, you're trying to generate revenue, which translates into stock prices, which translates back to more income for the people at the top. And so as long as people are running businesses and they're in cahoots with the government, there's going to be recessions and other economic problems cyclically. Plus, you can't control what's going on around the world. Wars, economic problems in other countries also affect what happens within the United States.
How has the Great Recession changed you?
Well, I try to be smarter with investments. I try to be smarter with who I invest with in terms of the people that provide their advice. Probably take less risk where real estate's involved.
How has the Great Recession changed our nation or the world?
Well, I think in some ways what we're seeing in the realm of politics in the United States is playing out there because it's the classic battle between the people who have money and the people who don't. And the ones that were running the banks are still running the banks. They didn't suffer any consequences for the recession. And with the Trump administration now, those people that destroy the economic landscape of the country during the recession are now even closer to controlling policy in this country. So I think it's a big problem.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.